is Thursday, and this week for me is gonna be long because I'm working Saturday, and I'm at work. My first trip on driving the Freightliner, delivering a small scissor lift near the airport. And then after that, I'm driving south and I'm picking up an excavator. Great, love to play with excavators. Came to work in my Durango today because I did not do any Uber or Lyft during the first part of the week. So time to do something now. So I changed my accounts to show that because I have two vehicles, right? So I have to change them. Otherwise, people get surprised, when they're expecting a Durango and a Compass shows up, or vice versa. It happened to me once. I forgot to change the vehicle, and I was driving my blue Compass, and the guy was expecting the Durango. Very weird plane is flying over there. And so I had to explain to the guy that I forgot to update the vehicle, and he was kind of like suspicious, And so now I made sure that both accounts show my white Durango as active vehicle. And so after work, we're gonna see what happens. The weather is really bad today. It's drizzling. It's +3 Celsius for some reason. But they say it's gonna warm up to +10 or 50 F by the end of the day. And yesterday I went to Canadian Tire and I got myself a fancy rack for a bike, like a bike carrier, because I forgot that I have those hitches on both vehicles, on Durango and Compass. And so it's a nice one where the wheels sit on the little two platforms. It's not just like the bike hangs in the air. It's more sturdy. It was on sale for $199. I was actually looking for $149, which I saw online, but could not find that one in the store. And they said, well, regular price $299, now it's $199. You're saving $100. I said, okay, screw it, I'll take it. And I haven't unpacked it yet, but now I also added bike rack as an option on my rental vehicles. Well, only one Durango is only renting, right? But over there I noticed in accessories, and you can check bike rack. But I thought I can charge customers for this, but no, you just show them that you have a bike rack. And I'm thinking, what am I supposed to give them that for free? But the main plan is to use that bike rack for myself, because now I have this nice bike. I really love it. And on the weekends I want to go somewhere and do some biking, somewhere where it's nice scenery. A friend suggested I take the Canmore to Banff, but that's, first of all, it's 100 kilometers from here, and then that trail is pretty long. So instead I found number one in Calgary. It's Glenmore Reservoir Trail. It's kind of like a loop goes around that artificial lake, and that's like 20 kilometers from here. So I'm gonna install, if the weather's good on Sunday, I'm gonna install the rack and take either Durango or the Compass to the Glenmore Reservoir and do some biking. I think they said all around it's about 14 kilometers. Just picked up the machine, the excavator, and we had some rain yesterday and overnight, And so they were digging a trench in there. That's what they used the machine for, near a house, like a new house. And it's pretty soggy, you know. I grabbed a board. I saw a board in there. I said, can I use this board to put on the ground, because I don't want my boots to be so dirty. It's like really soft dirt, you know. And the guy says, yeah. So he brings me the key, and they left the machine near the trench, and then there's some dirt. Like the only way to go is up to the, like there's lots of dirt, you know. I try, and there's a trench behind me, you know. Like, I'm not an excavator operator, but I am pretty good. So somehow I didn't fall into the trench, but I couldn't climb. Like the machine, you know, it's a small machine, but still it's heavy. So it was just digging into that, sinking into the dirt, you know. And guess what I did? I never used, I think once, I tried once to, when I was picking up a machine, I tried once to dig like a little hole in the ground, you know, like how they do that, right? Like, because you have to have such a great coordination, because you move the boom, you move the arm, you move the bucket, sometimes you move the machine itself. But I had no choice. Like, I tried calling the guy, he's not answering his phone, you know. I wanted to say, you know, why would you leave it like this? Like, or just, can you get it out? Get the machine out.
At the stop sign, turn right onto 38 Avenue Southwest.
But he's not answering, so I started using the machine as an operator.
Turn right onto Super Boulevard Southwest.
I just basically, you know, when you're stuck, right, and there's the heel is too much and it's too soft, like, but you have the machine in your hands with the bucket, you know. And so what I did is I just cleaned the dirt, made it less steep, you know, push it to the side, and I was able to get out, you know. And then the guy shows up, and I said, what? I said, I'm sorry, I had to move this dirt because I couldn't get out. I hope it's okay. He says, yeah, it's fine. And I said, I just have one question. Why would you leave it in a hole like this? And he says, oh, it's not me, it's the guy who used the machine. All right, so basically nobody to blame. Yeah, this is the first time something like this happens, when they just leave the machine, you know, in a very bad spot. And so yeah, I'm lucky that I had just to do some digging, you know. Basically build myself a little ramp to get out of there. But I did it. But the machine is super dirty, like there's dirt everywhere, tracks are covered with mud. So our guys in the shop will have to spend some quality time with a pressure washer. It's cold today. Look at the sky. The sky is like winter, you know. You cannot even see the mountains. Like, this is facing west, and there's super thick white clouds in the distance over there. Yeah, see, pretty bad. Yeah, so it should be now +10, but it doesn't feel like +10. So I just had lunch, went to Subway. They have this meatballer, man, but I already had it, I think, the other day, so I said, can you make me something like spicy Italian on a flatbread? I like the flatbread, you know. I asked him to warm it up before. He says, you want to toast it with the meat? I said, no, just could you please warm up the bread because it's cold. Oh wow, look at this. I don't know if you can see. There's a nice bird over there floating in the wind. Looks like a small you know, sokol in Russian. I forget the name in English, but one of those prayer birds, you know. And so yeah, so I had some flatbread, spicy Italian, and I always want to ask them why they took it off the menu. It was on the menu at Subway, right? Spicy Italian, and now you never see it, but they all know what it is. It's just basically, you know, some pepperoni and stuff, right? Some veggies. By the way, funny story, the first time I heard the name Subway, this was probably in 1993 or 94 when I went for my first trip to the States. I attended I was a member of some, well, it was not like a club, but basically, well, that bird, it just floats in one spot. So that's how strong the wind is. Oh, there's two of them. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so it was kind of like a club, you know, where we were supporting each other to, I think it was like vegan, you know, some kind of a society, I forget. And they were, you know, people would share recipes, stuff like that, and they had a conference in Florida, and of course you have to pay, but you know, it's like a bunch of lecturers talking about, you know, food and health and stuff like that. And so I never been to the States at that point, so I decided to jump on a plane. And then when the conference was done, one of the guys I did some work for in Moscow, he worked for Herbalife. Remember those guys, Herbalife? They were super popular in Russia. And so I talked to him, and he says, hey, why don't you come and visit me in California? And I'm like, holy moly. I never, again, this is my first visit to US, and so I decided to take a train. So from Florida I took a train all across US to California, and I spent probably a week in there. And when I was on the train, I remember we stopped somewhere, and I see a sign that says Subway. You know, Subway, right? Metro in Russian. And I look like, what the heck, where's the Subway? You know, like, I don't see any trains. That was my first introduction to the Subway. And then I asked somebody, I said, what is this? Like, why would there be a subway line in the middle of nowhere? This was like a small station we stopped at, but you know, like the name is a bit stupid, right? Like, Subway. And so I asked somebody, and they said, no, it's a fast food place. It's not an actual Subway. Oh, really? Okay, cool. So I still remember, yeah. Well, this is some kind of a church. I've been here before. They often rent scissor lifts from us. Actually, I've been here also with the Uber, because there's a bunch of hotels here. We're just south of the airport. There's Sandman. On the left there's Holiday Inn. And so I send the guy a message saying I'm coming, and he says door 1, south side of the building. And I'm always good with telling which side is, you know, north or south, because the airport is over there, so that's north. And so this was the south side.
At the stop sign, turn left onto 48th Avenue Northeast.
And so this is after lunch. My first trip, so 1 delivery, and now I'm gonna go and grab a small scissor lift that's coming off rent. It goes back to our shop. Well, they let me go home early. 1 o'clock, and one of the dispatchers say, well, the boss says you can do whatever you want. If you want to stick around, find something to do. I said, okay, I'll go wash the deck of the Freightliner, because after that excavator disaster pickup I had, like, my deck was covered in mud, you know. I swept it up, but still, like, the dirt, you know, kind of like was glued to the deck. So I asked the guys in the shop if it's okay if I back to the door. I know they don't like it when you go inside with the truck, because then all the dirt will be on the floor. And so I moved the bed closer to the entrance where our pressure washer is. Grabbed the thing and cleaned it up pretty good, and then I cleaned up both floor mats. They were dirty as well because my boots were dirty. And that's it. I went back in the office, turned in my service phone. I said, anything? They said no. I said, okay, I'll go do Uber. So now I'm sitting, having my espresso because I'm falling asleep slightly. So this is Lyft, and I don't like this priority mode, you know, just turn on. But what priority mode is, yeah, it gives you priority in the lineup, but the rate is lower. But Lyft claims, and I don't believe it, one you know, percent, they say that you're gonna make more money because you'll get more rides. Basically, if you click this, you'll get cheaper rides, but you're supposed to get more of them, you know. Screw this. And so Uber is so I'm sitting near the airport. Yeah, you see, like, this area northeast and the airport is super low demand. Like here it's slightly better. If we look at yeah, if you go, you see downtown is great, and then it gets better. So the higher the column, the more money you can make. But northeastern airport is always dead. Northwest is okay, so getting better next hour, so it should be okay. Basically all I need is like it often happens, I just need one ride out of here, you know. So because of that, we can click Lyft, we can turn on the priority mode, because I just need to get out of this bed area. Okay, and they have 16 to 20 drivers at the airport for Lyft, and actually it's busy. It's 15 rides per hour. That's pretty cool. And Lyft says that they're gonna be 4,000 people arriving in the next 2 hours. Okay, so let's see. So normally, you know, I look at this and it says 16 to 20 drivers in the queue, and then I look at how many rides per hour, because if it says 20 drivers but there's 10 rides per hour, that means that I'll be sitting there for 2 hours, which is not good. But now see, 16-20 drivers, 15 rides per hour, you know. So let's see what Uber says about the airport. I click on the waiting lot link, and it says no, Uber X waiting lot is full, so I cannot line up there. But it says high earnings potential. Oh yeah, it's pretty high now. Like, look, see, this is live yellow. It's pretty tall, almost as tall as the peak at 10 p.m. So flights, well, now it's very low, but 3 p.m. it jumps up. You see, 3 p.m. jumps up, 4 p.m. is even better, and then it goes down. but I cannot go because it's too many cars there. Cannot join the queue right now, but check back later. Well, thank you, kind sir. We'll just wait, see what happens. But normally, yeah, this is not a very good area, you know. There are some hotels on the other side of Deerfoot, or I can go west where there's a bunch of supermarkets. There's a Real Canadian Superstore. There's what's that other one? I always forget the name. Another big grocery store. There's a bunch of fast food places over there. And because I'm in Durango, as soon as I click, you know, choose Durango, see it gives me Uber XL. So now I can do Uber X, which is the cheapest. I can do Uber Comfort, Uber XL, the most expensive, and Uber Pet. Pets are okay, but you see, I unchecked deliveries, package, and shop and deliver. I don't want to do that because even though people give you tips, but I don't want to do deliveries in the Durango. And I mentioned before I was supposed to do oil change on the Durango. It turns out I mixed up the dates, so it was not supposed to be last Saturday. It's this Saturday, and I'm working this Saturday. I have to be at work, so I guess what I'll do is I'll mount my new bike carrier on the back of Durango and and attach my bike, and then I'll drive the Durango to the Chrysler and then grab the bike and ride to work. It's not far. And it became slightly warmer, but still, you know, typical spring weather where it changes. Minus, what was it, +3 in the morning, +12 now. Well, I'll sit a few more minutes, and then I'll just start heading probably east towards my home, because over there actually there's more opportunities, because here it's mostly industrial. But I did pick up a few guys there from work, but now it's too early. It's 2:30, 2:27. If somebody wants to go home, I doubt they will go now. But a couple of times I picked up the same guy just south of here at a big office building, and he was going to central Calgary, like Highway 16 and you know, McKnight, Highway 16 over there east of Deerfoot. And I'm home. I drove all the way to my area, and none of the apps beeped once, you know, Lyft and Uber, so I just turned it off, and I'm gonna call it a day, because I need to do some paperwork. I need to do my books for the previous month. What was it? Now it's May, for April. I need to do books. I need to file my GST, sales tax. And so this is the bike carrier I bought. So it looks like this. See, it's like the wheels go in here, and this goes over the frame, so you can do 2 bikes, you know, and it goes into your hitch. So it's called Sport Track Crest 2. And I replaced the seat. It was super difficult, but this is the old seat. Look at the size. This is the old, this is the new. And the new one has better suspension, and even has a spot there, I think, for a light or something. Yeah, I might probably install like a light in there. But yeah, this is just basic ugly seat, you know, like with this long front.
So this one is wider and shorter. I haven't tried it yet, so that's why I'm bringing my toolkit here so I can adjust the seat angle.
Well, it's the next day, Friday. Gloomy weather again, as you can see. My first run in the Freightliner. So I'm delivering a pallet jack, which normally you would do with a pickup truck. But on the way back, they want me to pick up a scissor lift in downtown, and so for that you need a Freightliner. So kind of like unusual first run, but then typical second run. Driver number 2 is doing delivering a skid steer, a John Deere skid steer on tracks, and driver number 3 has scaffolding a run in a pickup truck. So we have 3 drivers because it can get very busy in the spring and summer. And that skid steer that driver number 2 is doing is actually exchange. I think I delivered the original one. I delivered the also the similar tracked machine, and something happened to it. They say hydraulics is not working, and so our mechanic drove out yesterday for a service call, and he could not fix it on site, and so this morning they're sending this other guy with a new machine, and also he'll be doing a recovery because that machine is not moving, so he'll have to drag it out somehow with his winch. Yeah, and that's our second Freightliner. It's finally back from the shop, and so they said I'll be on standby if he needs me to assist. If he cannot do it by himself with one truck, he's gonna call me and I'll go and help him. Yeah, because that's quite a big like one of our biggest skid steers, you know, like a typical size. So it's heavy. Well, maybe I think it's just under 10,000 pounds. That's why technically, by US rules, well, even Canadian rules, you don't have to use 4 chains, 4 binders, 1 on each corner. You can. I usually with these, I just use 2 chains in the front and one long chain in the back, and then just chain the bucket or put a strap over the bucket if there's a bucket. I picked up one yesterday, but that one was a wheeled skid steer on wheels. I mean, man, these machines, they're so much fun, you know, because it's just joystick, right? Like your left is movement, the right is the bucket. There's no steering wheel. I love them. And that's one of the reasons, you know, I'm doing this job, is because I get to play with all these little machines. You know, of course they're not on the same scale as what I did before when I was doing heavy haul, but they're all around 10,000 pounds. But they're still a lot of fun, you know. Even these mini excavators, like the one I picked up yesterday that was stuck in the mud, you know, somehow I learned to dig with it, which to me was, before I could not do it. Like, I'm not that coordinated, you know, but I had to do it, otherwise I would be stuck there in that hole. And so I used the machine, and I was able to take off a couple of buckets of dirt and make myself a ramp, you know, So I feel pretty proud of myself. So, you know, every day, like every day you learn something new. And we have new machines and new gizmos coming in all the time, because our managers, you know, a couple of times a year, they travel to all these, you know, rental equipment trade shows. And if there's something new that they like, they buy it.
Red light and speed limit camera ahead.
Like for example, one recent acquisition was a diesel powered heater, which looks like a fireplace, you know, like a chunk of metal with a glass, and somehow they managed to do zero exhaust. And everybody's wondering, how does that work, you know? Like it runs on diesel, you set up the temperature, it has a thermostat. Of course now you don't need it, but in winter, you know, all these poor guys in the shop, the big bay door is open because, you know, people come in. Hey buddy, that's illegal. No U-turns at the lights. $165 fine, 2 demerit points. And so yeah, when they have those big bay doors open, because, you know, customers are coming in and you have to roll equipment in and out, gets pretty cold in there, right? And so they have that big heater in there, and it just keeps the front of the shop warm in winter, because you set the temperature, that thing, no exhaust. Again, I have no idea how they manage that. It runs on diesel with no exhaust. Some kind of an internal crazy system, you know, like very. And yeah, and we rent that one. Like we use it ourselves, but people can also rent it in winter. It's like amazing, you know. So yeah, it's a cool job, I'm telling you. And now after 2 raises, I'm pretty happy with my salary, you know. Before it was a bit on the low side, but now, like I talked to one guy the other day, I had one very interesting Indian gentleman, you know, very clean, you know, in white robes, like speaks with pretty much no accent, you know. I respect people like that, people that, you know, have two languages, bilingual, just like me, right? And so I pick up this Indian guy for Uber, and we were driving somewhere, I think to a store or something, because I thought we were going to a church, because, you know, he was dressed so like a high style, you know, manner, like he's going to a wedding or something. And it was not a church, it was some, oh yeah, it was a store. Yeah, we were going to like a real Canadian superstore. And so we started chatting as we were driving, and it turns out he's a trucker too. He's also has class 1 license. I was telling him about my heavy haul, you know, and he's doing local. He used to do long distance like me, and now he's, you know, he didn't seem too young either, and so now he's just doing local work. And you know, we were talking like openly, and I said, so what? I said, you know, the reason I'm doing this, I told him about my job. I said, I'm driving a 5-ton truck and a pickup truck. The reason I'm doing this is because I could not find any decent pay package doing class 1, you know. And here I can, you know, I think I'm gonna change my class 1 to class 3 when it's time for medical, because I'll be 65 in 2 years. If I keep class 1,
Next light, turn left.
then I would have to do medicals every year. I hate that. I hate medicals. I don't want to do that. But class 3, which is you know, like a heavy truck without a trailer, like a dump truck, you don't need any medicals. It's the same as class 5, which is like, you know, a regular car. And I can still do Uber, because here Uber requires class 4 or higher. So class 3 works. And so yeah, I said that's why I'm doing this, a regular, like with this job all you need is pretty much class 5, because this one it does have air brakes, which you need class 4 or I think 3, Oh no, you need air brakes endorsement, but these are not real air brakes. They're only for parking. Like when you drive, it's hydraulic brakes, kind of like, you know, it's a light truck, right? And so I told this guy, I said, hey, I'm driving this because now the salary is pretty good, and I often, you know, finish early. Like yesterday, they let me go at 1 o'clock. I don't care. I went and I tried to do Uber, right, but it didn't work. And I said, yeah, because they don't want to pay for class 1 work for tractor trailers. And this guy says, yeah, he says, they pay us, like, I forgot what he said, $22 or $23 an hour, you know, which is less what I make here. So why would I want to, you know, do that? And normally they have very long days, right? Let's say you do like deliveries to supermarkets or something. Fuck, you'll be like there from 6 to 6, you know, 6 to 7 at $22 per hour. Thank you, but no thank you. That's downtown over there, and here we have, quite often we have the speed camera car sitting somewhere here, because it's 70 and then becomes 50. And there's a police station at the lights over there. Okay, my pallet jack is still there. I pushed it against the winch. There's a winch in front of my bed, and I pushed it against the winch, and I just put one chain around it because it's less than 500 pounds and shorter than what is it, like probably 5 feet, so you don't need 2 tie downs, you only need 1. There's a police station. So yeah, quite happy with the job, quite happy with the pay, quite happy with
Stay in the middle 2 lanes.
dealing with machines and equipment. And again, construction, now would be a good time to find a job in construction, right? But I have very limited experience, right? I calculated that after that 2 months stunt at Drumheller Solar Farm, I probably have around 500 hours. That's it. 500 hours. Not like 1 year, 2 years, you know, 500 hours. And I still have the license for the, you know, for the wheel loader, right? But on a wheel loader, I only worked at school and 1 day at that solar farm, and then they gave me the big wheel loader, and I was carrying some pipe. They didn't like how pipes were hanging loose like noodles, you know, too wide. I did, like, there was a claw, you know, the claw, like forks with a claw, and so I grabbed them, but they were sliding, and so they slid out, and I was driving in that wheel loader, and they was pretty wide, right? And so I saw one manager was shaking his head, and that's it. Next day they said, no, you're going in the skid steer, no more wheel loader for you. Like, basically you make one mistake, that's it. You don't have any grace period, nothing. Like, they don't care, right? And then eventually they let me go. I'm guessing because I was the oldest, you know, we had like maybe 10, 15 skid steer operators, and they were all young guys, maybe in their 20s, early 30s. There was one girl, and they all were much more experienced than me, you know. So younger and more experienced, and they're probably thinking, wait a second, so we're paying $8,000 a month to this guy? Yeah, the money was great, but it was 12-hour days. Forget it. Yeah, so that's why I don't want to cannot go into construction. But actually I do see, you know, if I were to decide to go, you know, all our customers are construction guys. You know, let's say I deliver a skid steer, I can ask, you know, like if I wanted to, I could ask, hey, do you guys need a skid steer operator, you know? But again, I have limited experience.
Go past this light, then use the right lane to keep right onto Trans-Canada Highway 1 toward Shopping Center.
Shopping center, okay, so I think we're delivering like to a house or something. Basically, this guy probably bought some furniture or something, and so he needs this pallet jack. Because this thing is pretty solid, you know, it's like a manual pallet jack, but you can put it under a skid, you can lift it, and then you can drag that skid, and the capacity is 5,000 pounds.
Turn right onto 16th Avenue Northwest.
So you can move something pretty heavy, you know. They're very handy, these pallet jacks. There's like one double wheel in the back where the handle is, and 2 double wheels in the front. And they come in all kinds of flavors. Like first I grabbed the wrong one, I grabbed the low profile one, whereas my paperwork says standard. And so I asked one guy, I said, is this the right one? Because it says LP, low profile, on the ticket. And he says, no, you don't need this one, you need standard, which just doesn't have LP in the name. And so I went and I grabbed the proper one. Yeah, it's probably those houses behind.
600 meters, turn left onto 19th Street Northwest.
Yeah, I think it's probably, it's either an apartment building or a house. So this is 16th Ave,
Stay in the second lane for left.
which turns into Trans-Canada Highway. Right, so if you go this way west, you're gonna end up in British Columbia.
Pass this light, then at the next one, turn left.
If you go back east, you'll end up in Saskatchewan. You don't want to do that.
At the light, turn left onto 19th Street Northwest, then turn left onto 13th Avenue Northwest.
Okay, we're getting close. And check out, those are buses. That's the, you know, the buses they use in Calgary, the transit, Calgary Transit. They all run on LP, I think, propane. So clean exhaust. Wow, check out this little hill. Yeah, we have spots like this here in near downtown Calgary. Like all of a sudden, you see, like the entire downtown is like in the valley. That's on the left there. So yeah, definitely here I don't want to come with my single speed bike. Well, it's good driving this way, but climbing, I wouldn't be able to climb. Yeah, interesting. And again, there's construction everywhere. So yeah, I'm heading downtown to grab the scissor lift I delivered. I think it was yesterday. And the guy texts me, you know, like customers do that sometimes. Because I was texting him, right? So he has my cell number, my service cell number. And I see in the morning, I see there's a new message, and the message says from this guy, from the customer, he says, we all done, the machine is ready to be picked up. And I always have to tell him, please call the office, because you have to make arrangements with the dispatch, like not me, because this would be like the end of the rental, right? Otherwise I can go pick it up, but they will keep charging you. So it has to be paper trail.
In 500 meters, turn left onto Memorial Drive Northwest.
See, another site, another plywood little house, or actually townhouse. one stop sign. Yeah, this is a bit crazy. And I don't think I'm supposed to be here in a truck, but we'll sneak in. So I have to cross 4 lanes of traffic. Oh boy. Normally, if the situation like this, if I was in a car, I would just go in the middle, but actually it's too tight in there, even for a car. Because then you cross these two, right? And then you wait for that side to clear. Yeah, this should be a traffic light. Okay, there's so much traffic here. Well, we'll be here a long time. Audi. 4-door sedan. Holy moly. See, it's like it alternates. Either one side is busy, but there's still vehicles, right? I cannot just drive in front of them. You see, I can cross now, but there's nowhere to go. No, the other side is busy. Okay, maybe now this is my opening. No, those guys speed up. There was a gap. Yeah, this was a bad idea. Yeah, because of the grass in the middle, it's also hard to see those guys. And they're moving pretty fast, because over there the speed limit is 70 and then it becomes 50 over there. But here everybody's probably doing it like 80, 90. Okay, I don't give a... We're gonna go after this guy. Wow. And the other guy behind me turned right away, because now you see this is empty. And this is where I wanted to go. See, like further down than last time when I was on a bike, I turned around because one path was blocked, right? But this is, I love this. See, it's pretty flat, you know? So this Saturday, no, Sunday. Yeah, Sunday morning, my Durango is going away for 3 days to a rental customer. So I'll have to stick to the Jeep. Okay, where are we turning? Yeah, see. Oh, so here there's still trucks, okay, but here east of 10th Street. Oh, it's only that part. Oh, okay, cool. So here it's still legal because I'm turning before. Well, I see another no truck sign. I wonder if it says no, yeah, straight.
Turn right onto 9th Street Southwest.
Subject to bylaw fines. Yeah, I see straight, no trucks. And again, over there, the sign. So you don't want to go in there. I want to go here. crossing over Bow River.
50 meters, turn left onto 5th Avenue Southwest.
Getting ready for the left turn.
Go past this light, then at the next one, turn left.
And here you see, look, those arrows at the top, they reverse lanes. Like sometimes this lane can be also going this way. Actually, I think it was. I see, like for them, when you cannot go, there's a cross. If you can go in that lane, there's a green arrow.
Turn left onto 5th Avenue Southwest.
And this is our light transit, LRT. They usually travel like 3 cars and they always booked solid. There's so many people inside. I never tried to ride on this one. It would be great because they go all over the place. But now I read that now they're experimenting with just 2 cars. They want to see if they can save some money, and instead of hooking up 3 cars, hook up only 2. All right, nobody on my left, nobody on my right.
In 700 meters, turn right onto 5th Street Southwest.
Okay, getting ready for the right turn. Wow, look at that Corvette. White Corvette. And it's always good, you know, when you go to the same place where you were before, so at least now I know where exactly the machine is, because you know where I'm picking it up, it's a loading dock under a tower like this, and so you have to know how to access it, right? But the guy, when he sent me a message, he says the machine is in the same spot where you dropped it,
Turn right onto 5th Street Southwest.
and he sent me actually even a picture, a copy of my own picture, because I took a picture when I deliver to show him where it is, and he sent me a copy of that. He says, yeah, it's in the same spot, so you should be good. Okay. And here we have on the other side there, it says Ukrainian Coffee House. Interesting. I saw it before. I don't think they opened a long time ago. It's a recent addition to the downtown businesses.
Go past this light, then at the next one, turn right.
Okay, 6th Street. I need 5th Street. Well, the machine is on the deck. It's a small scissor lift, the 19-foot model that can go up to 19 feet. It's actually probably the most popular. By the way, on this truck, so you have to go into drive, right? That's the shifter, and then you have to push the brakes, and you have to watch for pressure, because sometimes when I drop the suspension to make the angle, you know, to make it easier to load something on the deck, and then it starts building up, and so it can be low. If the pressure is too low, it is gonna still show the brake symbol and it'll be beeping, and you just have to basically hold it for a few seconds until the pressure builds up, and then it'll release. Otherwise it'll still drive, but it'll say the brake is on, burr, 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 you know. And there's a pressure gauge over here, so now it's pretty good. But this is one crazy setup, you know. You go through the parking lot inside the building, and when I turned, I was too close to the curb, so I couldn't make this corner. So I had to back out a little bit. And there's pedestrians here, and it's all one-way traffic, which is good news for me. All right, this is 8th Avenue. We're just going here, 9th Avenue.
At the light, turn left onto 9th Avenue Southwest.
Because yeah, 8th Avenue you cannot go. It's not a through street. It turns into a pedestrian area, pedestrians only. And one thing here, there's a lot of crazy people and a lot of bumps. Like that girl in the corner. She's walking in circles, she's looking this way, looking that way. She stops, she goes back. And some of them, they look okay. You know, you see like she's except you can see that her face is dirty, like she probably sleeps on the street.
In about 1 kilometer, turn left onto the Cloud Trail Southeast.
And the easiest way out of downtown, of course, is to get somehow to Memorial Drive. And the Memorial Drive goes east and west and takes you to Deerfoot Highway 2. A couple of times I delivered something here. They were doing some work. I delivered some machines here. Okay, where are we turning? McLeod Trail. And of course we have lots of recessed manhole covers that you have to go like this if you don't want to lose your wheels. Just read on the news, a guy was trying to get some money from the city
Stay in the second lane for left.
because he hit a pothole. Not like this,
In 450 meters,
not a
turn
manhole
onto
cover,
Cloud Trail Southeast.
but it was a unexpected, super deep pothole which destroyed his wheel, his tire, and some parts of the suspension.
Go past this light, then at the next one, turn left.
So he says the repairs for now cost him $1,500 bucks.
Use the second lane from left to turn left onto the Cloud Trail Southeast.
And the city says no, we cannot provide you compensation because these potholes are weather related. Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, one bad thing about Calgary. Like, no, two things I don't like. I wish they would fix them. One is the weather, constantly changing temperature during the day because of proximity to the mountains, and then of course these summer storms, hailstorms like the one that damaged my Jeep, and that's the one. So the weather, and second, the roads. Because of the weather, it's all connected. Because of these constant changes in temperature, the roads
Stay in the middle 2 lanes.
develop potholes. I'm not even talking about this obsession in Calgary with manhole covers. As a joke, strategically positioned under each wheel, so they're not in the center, they're like this. And so if there's somebody next to you, you cannot avoid them, but if there's nobody, you have to go like this. And then of course cops can say, you know, can suspect some drunk driving. Okay, here they are on the side. Yeah, so far once I hit one of these. It was super deep, and it threw my alignment on the compass. So it was like $200 for alignment at a Chrysler dealer. So yeah, try to avoid them at all costs. These manhole covers, and you never wanna, in Calgary,
Then at the next one, turn right.
you never wanna follow too closely behind another vehicle, because then you won't see the pothole in time. Like I'm telling you, it's really that bad. And the story about this guy said,
Lanes to turn onto 5th Avenue Southeast.
the story about the guy said that since then, since that incident, the city filled up that pothole. But I saw a couple, yeah, I saw a couple there like this deep, like seriously, like all of a sudden there was no pavement in that spot and it's just a huge pothole. And of course, if you follow too closely behind another vehicle or you drive too fast, you won't have time to react, you know. And that's the thing. Now, have you ever seen an intersection where 3 lanes are turning right? Only in Calgary. 3 lanes. And I'm always in the middle lane for some reason, because this is the lane you have to be in to get to because this lane ends, so this is the correct lane. But you know, because I'm in a 5-ton truck, much bigger than a car, so I have to watch when I'm turning. I have to watch my sides, you know, so that nobody's too close to me. Oh, cops on bikes, fellow bikers. I've been here also, like this building, there's a bay door and you go right in and there's a huge loading dock in there, you know, where they deliver for these there's like some stores. Oh yeah, there's Winners, Shoppers Drug Mart, it says Real Canadian Superstore. They're all on the other side. And so big trucks, like semi trucks with trailers, go here on the right lane and you turn right into that, and you have to call security and they open the door and you pull in, and it's a huge space, you know. My first time I was afraid that I'll be stuck there with this Freightliner, but I go in, it's like a football field in there, you know. And then you just go one way and there's another door on the other side of this building, and you just get out and you take that street and you jump on this Memorial Drive, and you, in no time, you're on Deerfoot Trail, Highway 2. So yeah, these 2 lanes go left towards Edmonton Trail, and these 2 go right towards Memorial Drive. But this one ends, this lane ends right after the turn, and so they all start merging. I see the sign says 100 meters. Left, right lane is ends. And then we have to go this way because there's still construction over there, and the right lane is closed unless they finished it. No, still the sign is still there. And of course these guys have no clue, and they try to merge at the last possible moment. Sometimes there's cops here because the speed limit is 50. Oh yeah, so they change it, so this lane does not end, but it exits. You see, and they're all changing this way, see? What are they doing here? Nobody knows. They probably don't know themselves what they're doing, you know. They just show up for work, and the supervisor says, dig here. Коксу, Коля, давай! еду за туманом и за запахом тайги. Again, here, this is the only lane that you have to be, that takes you to Deerfoot Highway 2 North. This one is Deerfoot South, this is Deerfoot North, and there's always accidents here because quite often there's huge lineups here. Like behind me now there'll be like 100 cars, and everybody tries to go this way and cheat by cutting in, and then everybody has to brake all of a sudden, and people follow like this 0.005 meters apart. Mama. Man, these clouds, they just don't want to go away. I think tomorrow we have a slight chance of rain, I think in the morning, but it's like 3 millimeters. Nothing. And then Sunday, I think they said there was a 40% chance of rain around 11 p.m. Wow, nobody cutting in front of me. Interesting. Bye-bye downtown. That's it, we're heading north past all this construction. The speed limit is still 80 clicks an hour, probably for 10 kilometers. So you get a chance to practice your restraint and patience, you know. So it's a good exercise, you know, in the morning, especially during rush hour. And now this is 16F, the one I was on when I was doing the delivery of the pallet jack. And that's the one that can take you to Saskatchewan and British Columbia. That's like old route, because back then they didn't have the ring road around Calgary. So now if you're coming from the east, you know, you don't want to go through all these lights. You just take the ring road, boom, and then you jump on 16F on the west side of the city, you know. And that's my job. That's what I do every day. Pick up, deliver, deliver, pick up. Occasionally, what they call, yeah, when the machine is dead, that's actually more interesting. Recovering, they call it recovering. I think I did one so far. They sent me to pick up a small skid steer, ASV, and it was totally dead. The front window was broken, wouldn't start, so I had to drag it with a winch. It's always a lot of fun. So, well, I'm somewhere in southwest central Calgary. It's so nice out here, quiet. We already have everything is green, you know. Houses are pretty big here. I just drop off a small Bobcat S70, like a tiny baby machine, you know, where you have to I'm not a big fan because you have to use your feet. Your feet control the bucket. Your left foot it's up and down, and the right is tilt. So it's a bit awkward, and then you have to use both levers here for movement, forward, reverse. Just doesn't seem like a very easy thing, you know. So I dropped it off. The guy asked me for a quick basic training session. We should probably start charging them, you know, like people rent equipment and they quite often they don't know how to operate it. Go. But you know, I'm a former teacher. I like explaining things.
At the stop sign, turn
Oh wow,
right onto 26th Street
check
Southwest.
this out. That's an interesting bike. Wow, look at this. He did I know that basically you use that special band to wrap the exhaust for higher velocity and higher temperature. So it looks like it's a 3-cylinder, and each cylinder has its own exhaust pipe. Wow, that's pretty cool. Very unusual bike. What is this? Triumph. Oh, it's British. Triumph. Cool. See, because I'm driving all day, I get to see some, you know, cool stuff. Either some big, huge machines or bikes like this.
In 500 meters, turn right onto 17th Avenue Southwest.
So yeah, I called the office. I said, "You guys have anything for me to pick up on the way back?" Because it's like 26 clicks. And they said, "No, head back. There's a boom going out, which is a boom lift." So I guess that's what I'm doing next. I'm gonna load
Turn right.
one of those orange boom lifts, deliver, and then he says after that there's a pickup. Yeah, I see nice houses over here, and they're identical. Probably, holy moly, probably built by the same company. Those white ones. I don't know, for some reason I love looking at houses, you know, maybe because I was in real estate before in Russia, but I never did houses. I was a broker.
Turn right onto 17th Avenue Southwest.
I worked as broker. We were renting apartments, and then I became focused on commercial, so we were doing office space, but I never dealt with houses in there, even though back in the day you did not require. Oh, this is I think a very old beer pub, you know, like judging by pictures. Alice Stouts, Pines, Spirits. Wow, this is some kind of a unique place here. But they have pictures which are like black and white on the outside, so that means that it's probably like 50 years old. All right, I think I'm.
Take a slight right turn toward Child Trail North.
So it's sending me to Crowchild North. Okay. Yeah, this is 17th Avenue, so if you keep going on this, you're gonna end up right in downtown. And 17th Avenue in downtown, it's, you know, pretty fancy with lots of restaurants.
To take a slight right turn toward Child Trail North.
with a bunch of restaurants, and people are sitting outside, you know, like this terrace with chairs, and that's downtown, right? So we're taking this little
Take a slight right turn.
right turn, and this is a ramp to Crowchild North. So pretty easy. And now I follow Crowchild, I think, to, I forgot how far, but oh, we'll keep recording. Uh-oh. Accident. Two guys hit each other. A Porsche, and what was the other one?
Exit, and use the right lane to take the exit onto Memorial Drive.
Memorial Drive, are you crazy? I cannot go on Memorial Drive. Because there's no trucks there.
Use the right lane to take the exit onto Memorial Drive.
Yeah, it's sending me that way in Memorial, which I cannot do because I'm on a big truck. Because of course Apple Maps does not know what kind of vehicle I'm driving.
Take the exit, then keep right onto Memorial Drive Northwest.
Yeah, I know. There's no trucks there.
Use the right lane to keep right.
Request denied.
In 1.5 kilometers, keep right.
Or it right away it recalculated. When it happens this fast, I know from experience is that the difference in distance is minuscule. Because when there's a big difference, you know, let's say the app wants you to go this way, and then another way would be like 5 kilometers extra. It'll try to find something shorter, so it always a big delay, you know. So that's how you know. But if it recalculates like that, that means that there's pretty much no difference. This way, but this way it's legal. That way it's illegal. After 10th Street. After 10th Street, there's no trucks. So if I go like this, I would have to take the 10th Street bridge south, and then go through downtown on 5th Avenue towards Memorial Drive, which is nuts. Even though now it's 1:45, should not be too busy, but why go through downtown, right, when you don't have to? Oh, and there's lights in there every couple of blocks, and lots of my favorites, recessed manhole covers. Wow, did you see that? Again, here again. That's highly unusual when they have them in the center. Man, somebody made a big mistake here. It should be like this under each wheel, so you definitely hit it. Like somebody was slacking on this lane, positioning these manhole covers. And gas started going up for some reason. $1.35 per liter. And diesel is cheaper than gas, which happens very rarely. Even though diesel is supposed to be cheaper because it's a less quality product, right? It takes quicker to make diesel than gas. But because of all the trucks, you know, like this truck, because there's so much demand for diesel fuel, most of the time it's diesel fuel is more money than gas here.
In 2 kilometers, take the exit onto Charleston Drive.
maybe that's the reason why we don't see so many diesel powered cars like they have in Europe, you know, UK, stuff like that. Like here it's all gas. Well, unless it's like a pickup truck, right? Like a big pickup truck like what we have, then yeah, it's diesel. But they don't like diesel here, so what they do is they use turbo engines. They put a small displacement engine, like in my Compass 2-liter, and they slap.
Straight, then use the right lane to take the exit onto Charleswood Drive.
And then they slap a turbo on it, and there you go. Like here is the same.
Continue straight, then use the right lane to take the exit onto Charleswood Drive.
Yeah, I don't think I can take this one either. I don't know, why is it not sending me the same way I came? You know, I'm going to the same place where, which was my origin, right? And I use the same Apple Maps, and it sent me in a different way, not like this. Well, like this, but it's trying to do like a shortcut now, you see? It wants me to go on this, what is it called? Charleswood Drive.
Use the right lane to take the exit onto Charleswood Drive.
I don't wanna. We'll keep going north. Here on the left there's a university, University of Calgary, and here on the right it's all residential. There's a big shopping center there, and I'm pretty sure it's no trucks as well, because
Take the exit, then take the first right onto Charleswood Drive Northwest.
request denied.
At the light, use the right lane to turn onto Charleswood Drive Northwest.
Yeah, what's
8.5 kilometers.
Oh.
Take the exit onto Highway 201 North and Stony Trail.
201 north? Like what the heck is going on? That's too far. There's better ways before that. Yeah, definitely here. There's no trucks on that road. Shaganappy, that's how I came. Shaganappy Trail. Why are we going all the way to 201, to the ring road? Shaganappy Trail, here we go. Because this one now goes northwest, I need to get north, and Shaganappy goes north towards the airport. As you can see, it's still cloudy, but at least it's what, plus 12. Not exactly summer, but not too bad either. I'm not complaining. There's no snow. We don't have to wear winter hats.
At the light, turn right onto Shaganappy Trail Northwest.
Executing. Oh, beautiful. And here there's trucks are allowed. Everything is kosher. We all legal.
6.7 kilometers. Take a slight right turn to merge onto Highway 201 east towards Stony Trail.
Again, it's sending me on 201. What's wrong with you today, Miss Apple?
Stay in the second or third lane from right.
Maybe there's an accident there or something. So yeah, tomorrow I'm doing the oil change. They already sent me like a bunch of reminders. So I'm gonna drop off Durango at the Chrysler dealer before work because I'm working tomorrow. And in winter, one thing I liked about Saturday shifts is that instead of 7, we started at 8. And a couple of times actually I woke up, I set my alarm for 4 o'clock, and at 4:30 in the morning I would do Uber. So because you know it gives me like almost 3 hours from 4:30 till 7:30, and mornings are always super busy because there's not that many people, right? Like not that many Uber drivers. See, Uber. They say now we have 16,000 drivers in Calgary, and that's why we cannot make good money. There's just too many cars. 16,000 Uber drivers. And so if during the day it's like 20 bucks an hour before fuel, but in the morning you can make 30. You know, I remember a couple of times, yeah, I did that from 4:30 till 7:30, and I show up for work, and I was talking to somebody. I said, hey, I already made 90 bucks even before showing up for, you know, 90 bucks. That's already pretty good. That's almost half of my shift at the main job, you know. But this week I didn't do anything. I've been slacking because I got some money from the insurance company, so I didn't feel like working. And yesterday I did try, as you saw in the previous segment, but there was no takers. Nobody wanted my Durango. I like this one, Nose Hill Park. It's so hilly. I can still come here with my bike, but then I have to stay on the top. On the top they have flat pathways. But if you take one of these hills, then you know it's super hard with a single speed to climb back. But there's so many paths here, you know, and lots of people are walking their dogs. Well, now you don't see anyone because this is not the right area. And Sunday, yeah, oh, and then Saturday after work I have to go and clean up Durango. Just gonna go to that coin car wash, and even though it's clean, but not a rental car clean, you know, has some dirt on the side, so I'm gonna clean it up inside and out. And then 11 o'clock Sunday a guy should show up at my place to pick up the car. So I haven't decided yet if I want to wait for him and give him the key personally, or I can just hide the key somewhere. I just sent him a text message, you know, like usually 15 minutes before the rental starts. So let's say he starts at 11, so 10:45 I sent him a text message with a picture of the key location, where the key is located.
Stay in the left 2 lanes.
Yeah, here on the right there's parking, free parking for people that want to go and take a walk and on those hills in Nose Hill Park. And I bet you will see lots of dogs. You know, people loading them, unloading them. So yeah, that's the, you see, dogs. Oh wow, she has like, I don't know, 5-6 dogs, probably a dog walker. Dogs are pretty popular here in Calgary. You see them everywhere as pets. But then one guy left a comment when I was talking about, you know, I want to get a dog eventually, but now I have a small apartment and I work during the day. Like, what do you do? And I live by myself. And he said, be careful what you wish for, because he had a dog and he said he spent like what, $15,000 on drugs and you know, surgeries. And that's when I realized that, yeah, dogs are super, it's a big deal, you know. It's like having a kid. So they get sick, you have to buy them food, you know. It's, I decided that, yeah, you have to be, you know, well off to afford a dog. I should probably look for something cheaper, some kind of a cheaper pet. I had a cat once, briefly, when I lived in Moscow, but it was like a kitten. And I got it for free. I remember there was an old lady standing in the tunnel, like a pedestrian tunnel for where people go to the subway, you know, metro it's called in Moscow, metro. And she had this kitten. She says, free kitten for in good hands, or something like that, you know. And it was a cute kitten. I got it. And at home I had a computer with a printer, so there was a bunch of cables under the table. And so this crazy thing starts chewing on all the cables. You know, which is totally unacceptable.
6.5 kilometers, turn left onto 14th Street Northeast.
So I had to get rid of the cat. That's how I came. Country Hills Boulevard to Shaganepi Trail south to Crowchild Trail. But for some reason, it didn't want me to go the same way.
Stay in the left 3 lanes.
Well, I just dropped off our orange scissor lift. So these guys basically have like a golf course, but it's not, no, it's not like a golf course. It's, you know, where they train, where they can shoot balls. And so he has these screens, and he says he's missing a bunch of poles. And he was asking me, how much can it lift? I said, what do you mean? And he says, well, we need to grab that pole, lift it in the air, and then drop it in the hole. I said, well, this is not what this is for. This is more for, you know, people, right? When you paint something or you hang lights. And he was asking me, how much can it lift? I said, well, can it lift? I said, how heavy is that pipe? He says, oh, probably 200 pounds. I said, well, if it's 200 pounds, probably should not be a problem, because that's roughly 2 people, or maybe 1 person and a half, right? But yeah, you see, like this. So they need to install these poles so that they can put that screen on them. But I don't know why they even bother with the screen. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's a farm country, right? So it's a dirt road over there. But and he drives like this. He was asking me for help. So clearly he never operated this before. I said, okay, I can give you a quick introduction. And then I left, went to my truck, and he calls me. He cannot move it. He says, how do I move it? And these machines, actually, they're tricky, because there's a little ring, you know, like a safety ring. You have to hold it up when you move, when there's a joystick. So when you push the joystick forward, the machine will go forward, but only if
Merge onto Highway 201.
if two conditions are met. One, your foot is on the pedal, like a safety pedal, and secondly, you're holding that ring up on the joystick. Like if you're just holding the joystick and push it forward, nothing will happen. There's a ring. So basically there's a bunch of safety precautions there, right? And so quite often people have trouble. And then he says, how do you steer? And I showed him, I said, those two top like little heels on top of the joystick, you know, like little pushy things, and I said you have to hold them. So anyway, that's what happens often in the, I mentioned this before, right? Just when I was dropping off the scissor lift, a gentleman also asked me for a quick introduction, and we give him a paperwork. On the paperwork it says full training is required. We can only provide basic you know, description, basic skills. So yeah, so this guy's gonna use it to lift pipe. And he was asking me, where can we hook it up? And I said, well, don't hook it up to the basket, because I said, you see, this metal is pretty flimsy there, because it's not designed for that, right? It's just a platform for people to stand in, and then there's a couple of eyes in there. That's where you hook up your harness. And I said, you have a harness? Because you need to wear a harness. And he says, yes, I do. But I guess he did not know what I was talking about, because he started driving. Anyway, probably I shouldn't be talking about this. Yeah, customers are customers. The customer is always right. I did my part. I dropped it where he wanted me to drop. I explained to him how it works. After this, it's up to him, right? So our job is, as my boss explained to me, he says, we have to do everything we can to make people wanna come back, right? So if I start laughing at him or something like that, you know, so I try to be helpful, make him happy, you know. So a happy customer is a repeat customer. That's the key in this business. I never say no. When they ask me, can you show me how it works? I never say no, because that's part of my job. But it's a big machine. You know, it weighs, are you sure? You want to go here? Why we're not going this way? See, like every time this stupid thing does this. When you go one way,
In 2.5 kilometers, turn left onto Livingston View Northeast.
ah, okay. This one is good. This one is open. No, yeah, okay. Now I know why. Because the place where I'm going, it's in the west end of Calgary, and so this takes us to the ring road 201. Yeah, I'm heading to some community center, community association. They were doing some work in there and picking up a big scissor lift. Not a boom lift, a scissor lift. Oh, check this out. Some trucks in here. A trucker can afford a house like that? I highly doubt it. And you see, here we have the new houses, and here we still have a farm with cows, because this is the end of Calgary. So I'm driving south, and you see, all this will be houses soon. This, I see, you know, machines working, excavators, rock trucks here. See over there, the huge rock truck. So basically they're preparing the land for to make it into a, you know, new community. See a rock truck, excavator, excavator. And this is a long weekend, but I'm working Saturday. Of course, I'm off Sunday. And then Monday, most people don't work. I think it's called, what is it, Victoria Day?
Sign, turn left onto Livingston View Northeast. Then take the first right onto 1st Street Northeast.
Wow, a bunch of excavators over there. Yeah, most people don't work Monday, but we are open. But 7 to 12, you know, so it's a short day for us, but we're still working. Like, we're always open. Why? Because quite often, you know, people have some projects to do on a day off, right? For some of them, that's the time where
Turn right onto 1st Street Northeast.
that's the time when you can do something. Like, look at that, man. You guys see that? Huge truck, and I see what's happening over there. The guy has a flat tire, and there's a huge tire truck with a crane lifting that tire,
Keep right to merge onto Highway 201 West.
because it probably weighs like, I don't know, 10,000 pounds. You see, construction, which is great news for me, because one of these days my apartment is gonna hit $1 million, and we're gonna sell it and retire to, where are we gonna retire? I don't know, somewhere where it's warm and there's a lot of half-naked girls. That's what I like. And this is I know this road. This is gonna take us to the Stony Trail. And I think this is probably gonna be my last trip, because my ETA for that community association is 10 to 3.
Use the right lane.
And then let's say 15 minutes to load, and then half an hour back, so I'll be back probably like 3:45 on a Friday. And my boss, the dispatcher, the main dispatcher, he said he's leaving early because they're going on a hiking trip, because he's not working Monday. Lucky guy. Yeah, and then Saturday, like I mentioned, I have to go to Coin Car Wash to clean up Durango and get it ready for the Sunday trip. And then Sunday, 11 o'clock, the guy shows up to pick it up. Yeah, today was an interesting day. I had a bunch of interesting machines.
In about 17 kilometers, take exit 36 onto Trans-Canada Highway 1.
And the last thing I wanted to say, so today was our payday, Friday. So just to give you guys an idea what this job is all about in terms of money. So my gross pay for 2 weeks was $3,000. Not bad. Deductions were $745, out of which $526 is federal tax, $49 is unemployment insurance, $170 is CPP, Canadian Pension Plan. And so 3 grand minus 745, and all I got was 2255, 2255 bucks. But that's for driving a 5-ton truck and a pickup truck, local, and I'm home every night. I'm not dealing with US or border crossing, right? And I deal with machinery and equipment, which I really enjoy. You know, these excavators, skid steers especially. Too bad we don't have like some bigger machines. It would be cool to work with, you know, like a wheel loader. But this is okay. You know, this is kind of like a light version of what I used to do before 22. So thanks for watching. Sorry for the long video.